Welcome to D-Lab. On the bench today I have a cool Gibson GA15-RVT tube type guitar amplifier. Local fellow brought it over. He planned to rebuild this amp many years ago, tore it down, gave up on it. We all know the story. So he brought it to the shop. He wants me to get it operational and then we're going to sell it. So first off, this thing is completely stock. Everything's there, it's all original. So my plan of attack, let's get some new filter caps in it and see if this thing plays. So first we'll give her a look over. Control panel looks good. Of course it's a little bit dirty, dusty from its years of storage. Here's the internals. Has those old paper style filter caps. You know those gotta go. Take a look at that little eyelet board. That is amazing. Since this thing has reverb, how do they do that? Over here are a box of miscellaneous parts. We've got the feet, handle, corner protectors, a few tubes. Here's a rear panel. They call it the Explorer. Pretty cool. I noticed the fuse cap is missing, so we'll have to replace that. Top side looks good. All the original transformers. Tube sockets look a little bit dusty, dirty. Hopefully they're not corroded. Back side of the amp, see that the speaker is not original. That's a realistic type, which probably doesn't sound too good as a guitar amp speaker. But it does have the original tank. Let's hope that's good. First thing I'm going to do is remove those old paper caps. We're going to land a terminal board and put some modern radio style caps in their place. Pop in some tubes and see if it plays. Alright, to cut out those old filter caps, what I did was made an assembly with these radio caps. It's going to drop right back into the place where those old caps were, and I'll swing these wires onto the terminals. You may say, well, hey, why don't you just ground those to the chassis? Well, if you take a look, they have a terminal board and those ground wires don't go direct to chassis. If you were to put in caps with them connected to ground, more than likely you would end up with some hum. Here we go, initial power up. I threw in some used tubes. I'm monitoring the bias on the EL-84s. Volume control is kind of crunchy, but it sounds like it's trying to amplify. Let's put a signal into it. Alright, got a looper in it. I hit that volume control so it's not so annoying. Seems to be working. Next I need to check out the tremolo and then we'll hook up the reverb, see if that works. Alright, I popped a jumper in there, see if this tremolo circuit works. There she goes. I got the amp completely recapped. I hooked up the reverb unit, had a bad cable. It's working now. Lots of reverb. And it's fairly quiet. Okay, the electronics are wrapped up. I installed a grounded power cord. Next, I'm going to give her a bit of a cleanup, pop it back in the cabinet, and see how it acts as a system. Okay, I ran across a little situation with the Gibson. Number one, I do not have a foot pedal. Number two, if you did have the foot pedal, it has to have this crazy 5-pin connector, and usually those are bad. So what I'm going to do is remove this connector and install a pair of RCA jacks like you would see on any other amp, so a standard foot pedal can be used. Right there's that old 5-pin jack. Now we have dual RCAs installed in the same hole. Just had to drill the 4 holes to mount it. Alright, I'll demo how these new jacks are working. So it's playing right now with the reverb on. So your foot switch would kill it. Right? Then, if you want your tremolo on, you have to short that jack. There she's off. And it's on. Just like a standard foot switch. Well, as usual, I got the amp all together and the reverb stopped working. I checked and the secondary of the reverb driver transformer opened up. And of course, as you guys all know, that's next to impossible to find. But I found that I can use a standard Fender reverb driver transformer in the place of that other transformer, and the reverb works great. So what I'm going to do to make the installation easier is mount the reverb driver transformer under the chassis, wire it direct to the board, add another RCA jack for connection like a standard reverb tank. Okay, have the new reverb driver transformer installed. It's working fine. Keep in mind, if you do this conversion using the Fender reverb output transformer, you're going to have to mate it up with a standard Fender reverb tank. Alright, I finally got the reverb situation under control. Here are my cables that go to the reverb tank. I color-coded this jack red to match the plug. The reverb works really nice. Let me show you underneath and we'll review what's been done. So what started out to be a simple cap job turned out to be a fairly involved repair. So yes, I changed out the main filter caps. These are all 22 microfarad at 400 volt. I cut the leads from the old cap, swung them onto the terminal board, which simplified the installation. Also changed out all of the electrolytics that I spotted on the eyelet board and throughout the amp. And then of course, I had to install a new reverb driver transformer. You may be wondering, why did I put it down here? Well, number one, the jacks are mounted on the chassis, so that keeps all my wiring underside. The other thing is that original transformer was actually pop riveted to the chassis and it was above this eyelet board. So to get to those mounts would be difficult. So another thing I wanted to bring up, you'll notice that this amplifier does not have an inverter tube feeding the EL-84s. They are actually utilizing an interstage transformer. Pretty unique. I don't see that very often on tube amplifiers anymore. The real issue is if you ever smoke that transformer, it's going to be very difficult to locate, so you'll probably have to install an inverter tube. Well, here's the Gibson back together and running. I did leave that realistic speaker installed, so I probably put too much time and effort into this model, but I did for a friend. It was a fun project, and yes, I learned a lot on this one.